Welcome back to the farm, everyone.
Today is Monday, the 28th of April. We've been a day away from dry enough to start field work again, and then greeted with the rain multiple times. I think we're in that same exact position today.
Well, I've been out working on miscellaneous things, servicing equipment, fixing tile holes, scouting fields, driving by them enough that they start to dry off. Chris and Jeff have been doing the brunt work here, hauling more of that old crop corn from last season. We are down to 3 bins here at the main farm. I'd say we got 60, maybe 70,000 bushel of corn left to haul the elevator here. We've got 2 other bin sites to empty. Here is a very heartwarming sight, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. I think planting corn the week before this one was a great idea.
Marketing your grain may be the second most stressful thing on the farm. The first most is when your corn comes out of the ground on your first field, which is this one, and you want to see whether or not you had your section control, your swath control, whatever you call it, dialed in correctly, because there's nothing worse for unplanned gaps when you're planting.
Whew, chef's kiss, ladies and gentlemen. Did pretty good on that one. A little bit of overlap in spots. There is definitely a little bit of an overlap in spots. Really, you'd actually probably take a tiny gap here on the inbound and outbound side. You have to set it and time it for your speeds. If the planter operator varies from the speed it's set at, sometimes that'll happen. As long as you've got corn up to the end, you're doing a good job. There's no need to change these settings every year unless you're trying to adjust your speed in and out. What you have to be very careful is making sure every spring when you hook up the planters that these offset and timing numbers are correctly in the display. We've had it happen before where they miraculously change and we don't catch it and we end up with gaps. Yes, gaps aren't the worst thing in the world. If you don't want there to be gaps and there are gaps, it can be embarrassing, unless you're intending for them to be out there, which we don't. Why don't we just stand here for a moment and admire this beautiful quality corn emergence. They say the most important thing about a corn crop, other than getting the rains you need and not too much, is having a good stand to start the season. A good stand in June is worth more than a bad stand in April, yet I'd take a perfect stand in April over a stand anytime. Look at that. Wow.
I always start with the perfection, so when I show you the bad spot, it makes us look a little bit better.
I am out here doing more than just yapping. I'm scouting fields. Based on the water I'm seeing in some of these spots, I find it highly unlikely that any of this will go today. Chance of rain starting tomorrow, calling for 2 inches over the next 3 days, so it's going to be difficult to accomplish anything. That is a solid slab of mud. I mean, that's not even close to dry. Good black dirt, just not draining. You could knock someone out with one of these if you threw it at them. That's not going today. This is why you have to validate the field, because from the road, if you just eyeball this, it's mostly grayed off. You'd think it'd be perfect. It's not. It's definitely chunky. There's the main outlet for that tile pattern we had put in last winter. I believe people say it takes tile a year or 2 to really settle in and for those microscopic drainage channels to form to the perforation. That's pumping out a good amount of water for the amount of tile in there. Look at it all out here. Getting momentum like a freight train. Good thing there's tillage coming. I don't think an operator would be wrong if it's dry in April to go ahead and come out onto these cornfields and run a solid residual program. Put down a half rate of Store and a half rate of Acuron and save the rest for a post trip, because you would stop so much of this water hemp from germinating. The hard part about tillage is you're not guaranteed to get all this. We've seen it firsthand on a lot of our farms. This stuff will survive a tillage pass, especially if it gets a nice timely rain after the fact. It's going to be a long summer for folks here in Central Illinois if planting keeps getting delayed. In a perfect world, you'd have a herbicide down and not be losing any sleep over this. This chicken literally jumped into the commander as I was still pulling him. I hadn't even stopped moving yet, and she hopped in here. Looking for a place to lay an egg or eating dirt, I don't know. Chickens are strange creatures. It will be a good day to stay inside because it's supposed to be ultra windy today. I think 40-mile-an-hour wind. Good thing we don't have anything to spray. Last spring we added the garden, and this year's spring project for Allie is a roadside farm stand. She's already gotten all of the health department certifications. She's gonna sell baked goods and fresh farm eggs. Hopefully we get some visitors when she gets it going. I don't think she's ready yet.
The absolute worst part about my wife is that her baked goods are phenomenal, and that has not been good for my physique this year because I've got a very bad sweet tooth. Maybe we'll get out of the R&D phase in the kitchen and we'll start mass producing so nothing stays inside, because I'm not very good at staying away from those things. Dad and I are combining our brain power and going to check a few more fields. I just don't see any way that anything goes this afternoon. Maybe I'm underestimating the drying power of Mother Nature today. Who knows?
Oh man, that went in the ground. It's not too far away.
We're on the hill. It's the best place to look if you want it to be dry.
Oh, it's spongy, isn't it? Muddy too.
Yeah. Dad and I looked at 3 or 4 fields. The results are pretty much the same across the board. Probably not going to go today unless you really wanted to push it. That seems unnecessary given it's still April. Maybe tomorrow if it doesn't rain, and they're calling for rain midday, so the likelihood of us getting anything done is pretty slim.
I have seen a few sprayers running today. Yes, it's probably a little bit too windy to be spraying, but I don't judge personally. I think if you are comfortable with the legality of the decision you're making and you are being cautious around neighbors, whether that be standing crops, yards, flowers, all that, it's up to you if you want to spray. I live in a glass house. I'm not going to throw stones. Just got to be really careful, and also have to point out the fact that it is against the law to spray above the label maximum rated wind speeds. What you do with that information is up to you. With that being said, there are a lot of really good applicators out there working for some of these custom outfits, retailers, co-ops. Yes, there are a lot of cowboys out there who keep their boom high and run fast regardless of wind speed, but there are some really phenomenal operators, guys that if they were spraying on our farm, I would trust them to do a good job regardless of wind speeds and know when enough is enough. Oh, great. Our neighbor Jason is planting, and you know the rules. We gotta find something to plant. It's just the way this works. If we screw it up, we'll blame Jason since he's the one who started this parade. After further consideration, evaluation of the fields that we think are close, Dad and I have decided to just wait and see what the rain does. I'm tuning in here from the cab, courtesy of today's video sponsor, Camel City Mill, to give you all my tractor thought of the day. Most of you probably don't know, my birthday's coming up. I'm not exactly young anymore, but I'm very far from old. And it's very hard to shop for the perfect gift for someone like myself. Anything useful or entertaining, I've probably already purchased myself. I do have a spending issue. I really struggle though to pull the trigger on the necessities of life that make my day-to-day activities much easier. Where that's really become evident is in the sock department. I know you all have a sock drawer. At least 50% of them are full of low quality socks that aren't comfortable, that aren't moisture wicking, that have holes in them, that don't have warranties. Well, here's what I'm going to put in your head right now. Splurge on yourself, or ladies, splurge on your husbands for their birthday with Camel City Mill. These are the best socks I've ever worn, and I look forward to grabbing them out of the laundry when they're in rotation. As a matter of fact, I curse myself when I'm wearing my other junky socks that were cheap because I get blisters on my feet from the holes. They don't wick away the moisture quite as well as these. The other day I was wearing these and I accidentally stepped out of my mud boots into sticky wet clay mud and my feet somehow stayed dry. I couldn't even explain to you the mathematics or the engineering behind that, but it was a modern day miracle thanks to Camel City Mill socks. If you are like me, or ladies, if your husbands are like me and you get sweaty feet and they ruin your day outside working in the heat, try out Camel City Mill. It is one of the best socks I've ever put on, and as I've already said, I look forward to wearing them when they're up in rotation, and I'm really kicking myself for not having 1,000 pairs of these in the wardrobe or doing a better job getting my laundry cycled back around. I can't wait till the day where I'm fully stocked up, hopefully for my birthday, on Camel City Mill socks. I think you would really enjoy them if you're an outdoorsman or you just have feet that sweat a lot and you want good breathable material.
100% USA made with a 10-year durability guarantee. What's not to love about this? Thanks to Camel City for sponsoring today's video. Everyone go make sure you check them out if you're in the market to help take care of your feet. So far this morning, the forecast is verifying exactly as they pegged it. Pop-up thunderstorm to wake us up. We had the windows open, and that's one of the most magnificent feelings, is listening to the booming thunder and the pounding rain while you're laying in bed. It's almost therapeutic. Right now we're at 3/10 here. My phone says on another farm we had 3/4 of an inch. I think that's a little bit on the high side. We're still sitting pretty. We'll take a little rain. It appears that we are on last year's schedule. Starting to get rains they weren't even calling for. Our neighbors to the south are getting it a little worse, so we'll count this as a victory. It'll be a little damp for a few days.
Like the old timers always said, 1/10 an inch of rain a day keeps the planters away, and that's what we're dealing with right now. It just keeps showering every couple of hours, it seems like. Yesterday when I last tuned in, got about 3,500 hundredths. It's not a terrible amount of rain, maybe 2 days of drying and warm conditions. This morning we got about 1,500 hundredths again, not very much rain. And right now we somehow seem to be on the unlucky path of another strong storm. It is what it is, but it's just one of those years again, I guess.
The storm's over that way. It's pretty inconspicuous looking. I don't think it's going to be an issue. The radar seems to say otherwise. Where that little blue dot there in the center of the screen, this one little cell is tornado warned. According to a neighbor, it has 2-inch hail in it, and there's a funnel cloud that keeps going up and down. I don't know that it's actively produced a tornado on the ground, and based on the current forecast of this one in the tornado warned zone, it may skirt by to the south of us. It'll still hit some of our east farms, southeast farms. Unironically, that is where the tornado was a month ago, so hopefully there's not one that actually touches down.
I talked it over with Dad. We've got maybe 10 minutes. It could miss us. If it does have 2-inch hail in it, that'd be probably not good for our equipment. We are going to try to put the 2 big tractors away that sit outside most of the time.
That's the nice thing living right next to the farm. Here comes Dad. I'm coming from the west, a whole 100 foot. Try to get these in. Hopefully this just misses us completely. No, this isn't my normal work attire. This is my at home at night with the kids attire. We just gave them a bath. If I'd known we were going to be rained out for 10 plus days, we would have never hooked these back up. We were a day away from being able to run multiple times, so we were prepared. Probably should have just unhooked these earlier than we did.
This may seem silly because most likely we won't get any kind of inclement weather, maybe a hard rain. It's just the one time you leave it out ahead of a really nasty storm, you're going to wish you'd put them away. If there's a tornado here, the pole barn's not going to stop any kind of damage. We're just banking on that not happening.
Jeff showed up. He had a loaded semi-truck parked here. He came out of his house and took it over to the red shed to put inside. There's no bad weather. There's no reason to put them up, but looks like bad weather.
What do you think about dollying down that semi?
We can. We need to put a board under it if we do.
One thing I've learned from working on the farm here for a handful of years now, we definitely don't always get it right. This storm may miss us and this could have been a wasted effort, but there's one thing I can assure you. Even in all of our failures, it is almost never, if not absolutely never, from a lack of trying. Failure is a weird word to use here because failure is really what you're looking for, because of you don't want it to storm here at all. Just anything else, we give it our best effort all the time. It doesn't always work out the way we want it to. It's just life. It's the way we do things here.
Based on what I'm seeing, I think it is going to slide to the south. It's kind of going east, northeast. We may catch a little rain here. The severe weather should miss us unless it shifts back to the north. I would never wish bad weather on anyone. With that being said, it is majestical just sitting here in the open countryside, watching a storm roll across. And we have a tree line 2 miles away. Imagine being out in the Great Plains where you can see for miles and watching the storm just push across the countryside. It may not rain as much there, so the few storms they get are probably pretty entertaining. Hopefully this is a nothing burger. It's pretty obvious that Lucky spent a few months outside because he will eat literally anything, and I bet if there was a tornado on the ground, he would still be outside just enjoying the weather. It appears that they've downgraded the severity of the storm. This thing is just crawling along like 20 or 25 miles an hour. Looks like it's gonna slide by us, probably gonna hit some of our eastern farms. The bad thing about that is those are farms that are still too wet to plant, and it's just going to keep them that way. Oh well, we'll wait till they dry. We always get it in eventually. Never mind, I take that back. There is a public confirmed tornado. I think I can hear the siren going. That's almost exactly where it went last time. Maybe a little bit farther to the south and east. We ended up with maybe 0.15 of an inch of rain. Pretty uneventful despite our massive effort to get everything inside. Just east of here, about 15 miles, a tornado briefly touched down. It was confirmed, there were pictures. Thankfully it did virtually no damage from what I'm aware. It only touched down for a little bit, so missed another one thankfully. To answer your question, I'm power washing off the rims of the floater tires because it's time for them to come off. I know that I still have pre-emerge to spray on soybeans. We've got a lot of soybeans not planted yet. I learned my lesson last year that it is a fantasy to keep your floater tires on through May if you've got corn planted and up. All of this corn, not this is beans, over there, that's up, will probably be ready for a post-emerge herbicide pass by next weekend. So put that at 10 to 14 days. We're delayed from the rain, might as well switch the skinny tires on. I can spray my pre-emerge with skinny tires. You just prefer on paper to not do so because you widen your footprint, you lessen compaction. That's kind of the logic behind the floater tires. A lot of guys here in the Midwest use them. I know some places they don't even own a pair of floater tires. I don't know what's right or wrong, that's just what people do here. Last season we had an early batch of corn planted. I waited and waited and waited because I thought we'd get more beans in the ground and I wanted to keep my floaters on. We had a day, it was dry enough and calm enough to post-spray corn, but I still had my floaters on and I didn't have the help to change them over to the skinny tires. We're not doing that this year, we're just changing them out and adjusting our game plan. We'll be able to spray the corn when it's ready because post-spraying corn, arguably more important than putting a residual down immediately on beets. That's my 2 cents on that. I may not swap the tires out today, possibly tomorrow. I am planning on wiping down these windows because they're getting kind of dusty. The outside I just power washed off. I had these safety glasses on and I still managed to get a speck of mud in my eye. I don't know how that's possible. Probably would have been better off with nothing and my flinch would have stopped it. I know most of you probably don't care. I think I'm gonna retire this camera here once and for all. It's a great camera, shoots super high quality content. It's just not that practical. I've dropped it numerous times. The lens needs replaced, which is expensive. I've broken the back screen on it. It's a cinema grade camera. If a cinematographer saw what I have done to this camera, they would probably have an anxiety attack. I think I'll just go back to the old GoPros. They film really good content as long as you have a good mic on them, and they're much more convenient. Like this right here, it's about the only place in the cab I could find to stand this camera up, whereas a GoPro, if you had a clip on it, if you had a steering wheel, if you had a magnet, you could do a bar somewhere. Just a lot more practical. Yes, you're gonna sacrifice a little bit of quality. I believe more content, specifically more action shots in general, are more entertaining for people.
A lot of times that's why I don't have some of those, is just because this camera, although great in many facets, is limited in others. Larry's in the front and Mo is in the back, just on our way from the vet for their yearly checkup and getting all their medicine. It's about as expensive as having real human children. Driving by the neighbor's rye cover crop that's growing pretty impressively, probably scavenging a lot of nutrients, and of course, building up organic matter as another thunderstorm brews off in the distance. It's May. What else can you expect?
Once again, it may not even rain here. I can see it just over yonder. Not gonna be upset if it misses.
Today is the big day after Allie spent a lot of time yesterday baking and putting all this together in the farm stand. She's opening it up at 9 a.m. for people to swing by and grab some treats, some eggs. Pretty neat, really. I helped build the stand, otherwise I did nothing other than watch. Maybe occasionally distract the children and the dogs while she worked on this project. Looks really good. Lucky you can't have any unless you got cash, okay? Don't steal anything. Allie deserves some credit. The farm stand went over really well this weekend. It opened at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. There was people here 15 or 20 minutes before that, probably due to the Facebook posts and what have you. She sold out within an hour, or mostly sold out. It worked. People like fresh home-baked goods and eggs and other things. There's another nice drizzle this morning. This weekend we had 1 2/10 inches of rain. Forecast is looking good for the next 10 to 14 days, so once this dries up, it'll be hammered down. We can get finished up pretty quickly. All we need is the dry weather. Once that comes, our equipment can cover a lot of acres if it doesn't break. Today's going to be another slow day. Jeff's hauling corn. I should probably join him. For now, I'm finding some productivity in just draining some of these low-lying spots. There's nothing planted out here, so it's not really a concern. I just am confident that once this dries up, we'll be planting again. Typically, spots like this that have some kind of underlying drainage issue usually hold water up until the last minute. A lot of times I'm out here planting this, and there's not standing water, but it's mud because it hasn't drained at all. Trying to speed the process up, so once everything starts draining, this drains along with it. Every farmer has spots that have been neglected. This is one of ours among many others. It needs dug out, like some kind of gray laser shot from the center, and then the ditch here, probably to the property line. I imagine that road sign is the property line in the middle. Needs scooped out here so the water can follow its natural path as opposed to sitting here in the corner of the field. Very minute amount of acreage. Really not a big deal, just a headache when you try to mud through it and make it worse like other spots I've already shown you. The ditch needs dug here, or again, we may, if we have the right equipment, dig the corner out and rebuild the berm up here so water can find its way across. One thing we're lacking is just the proper technology and equipment to do this. We do have a back blade. I don't think that's the most thorough thing. We've been looking at getting a mini excavator with a ditching bucket, and I'd probably buy a laser system to actually start working on some of these road ditches. I don't think they're our obligation. They're probably the township's obligation to fix, yet the problems they create are ours. And the ditches being silted in, probably somewhat our fault. Also the fact that they probably haven't been dipped out since they were built 100 years ago or 70, 80 years ago, whenever these roads were put in. A lot of ditches need it, and if we get the equipment that I think we're planning on getting this fall, barring cooperation from Mother Nature, I'm making a list of things we can fix. I've already laid out the game plan here. The only complex part is getting approval from the township and of course locating it, because I think there may be a phone line out here. Ideally the phone line should be 3 or 4 foot deep and not an issue. You can't really guess on that one. You want to put it in. It's not a fiber line, so you're not going to go broke if you hit it. The neighbor over there may not be happy. I know enough to know that I know very little. One thing I'm confident in is the fact that I always have these grand plans of things we need to do. We've been investing in the equipment to do some of them, yet we're just not getting them done. I think a lot of that is a lack of proper note-taking. I can think of numerous things that I've probably forgotten about that need fixed. So I've finally done what I've been telling myself I need to do. I just created a Google Doc here. I'm notating any field issue on the farm that needs addressed. So here I've got 5 points. This is the Bud 70. That's what we call this field. Dig the ditch on the southwest corner right here. I just said that. Reslope the inlet on the northwest corner. There's an inlet out in the field you can't see that probably just needs dug out around it so the water will drain properly. I'm sure it's draining fine now. It doesn't hurt to fix it if you're out here with a little excavator. Dig the ditch on the southeast corner. That's where the big ponding area and inlet is. Clean around the inlet in the southeast corner. Reslope the field exit on the southeast corner where the water's coming out. That one definitely needs to locate because there's an anhydrous pipeline right next to that. They'll probably sit and watch me do that if we go ahead with that. But we've got time in the winter. We're probably going to invest in a mini excavator with a ditching bucket, so why not just fix these things? I know the township probably will want to supervise, although nothing against any of the townships. Those poor guys are under budgeted, understaffed, and have way too much work to do. A lot of them don't even really get paid enough to justify the amount of work that needs done around the county. So I think some of these we may just have to take into our own hands, fix them up, get them up to snuff, and reduce the issues out in the field that are just a headache year after year.
With that being said, I'm probably going to need to buy a laser. I'm familiar with lasers. I somewhat understand how they work. I just don't know what model or make to go with. I know Topcon's a big name. I even saw Milwaukee has a laser. It'd have to be a sloping laser so I can set grade on some of this stuff to dig. These short runs wouldn't be that big of a deal. If you got any resources or information for laser recommendations, that'd be great. I'd love to equip a laser system or a GPS system to an excavator. I just think that's going to be cost prohibitive. As you can probably already tell from the montage that just occurred, Colton from Mankey Ag Repair was here this morning. Called him in again to help switch from the floaters to the skinny tires. I think that that is money well spent given the average age of our staff and our average insurance deductibles if something happens to us. He's strong and he knows these sprayers really well. He's probably changed hundreds of these sets in his day. He also looked over a few things on the sprayer, checked a sensor. And Sloan's was here last week inspecting the legs on the sprayer. So this sprayer has 4 legs. Each one of these is a leg. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's currently a PIP kit or some kind of inspection notation from Deere. Sloan's was out here and they looked in here because these have been starting to crack and break on any arm. It could be front or back, not arm, leg. On any of these it could crack off here and then the whole leg breaks. I asked Colton to just double check them while he was here. He said they look fine, but keep an eye on them. He had a customer with a similar make model of machine and the front leg cracked off while he was going down the road and he woke up between the windshield and the steering column. So that is not what we want. Disregarding any commentary on long-term reliability and parts quality, the real lesson here is that I think that we all need to start wearing our seatbelts. Sprayers, yes, you go fast. You're in the front of this. Probably ought to put your seatbelt on when you're going down the road, especially because of how high it rides. Combines, tractors, they're not hard to clip on, folks. I'm just as guilty as most of you. The only thing I really strap up on is the sprayer because of its speed and height and the fact that I'm in the front, all combined with those other 2 factors. We really all ought to start wearing our seatbelts just to make sure if something unexpected happens, and there could only be a 0.1% chance or 0.01% chance of a major fault that could cause that, you could die or be seriously injured. So again, I would recommend look over your equipment thoroughly and protect yourself by putting your seatbelt on, at least when you think it's necessary. I even spray through the field with my seatbelt on just because I don't know what can happen. I'm always afraid these legs are going to just break off because it is possible. I'll just give one last shout out to Colton for his help. Again, Mankey Ag Repair on Facebook. He services all equipment. He was a Hagee/sprayer technician at Alliance Tractor before Sloan's bought him out. He knows these machines really well. If you're looking for an independent mechanic that's fairly priced, check out Colton. Should have seen if he would detail the cab of this thing while he was here. I don't think that's in his realm of expertise. Not mine either. We are officially ready to start post-spraying our corn that's planted. We can post-spray beans if we need to. We've still obviously got residual to put down on beans that aren't planted. The complicated dance of farming. Just gave everyone a lecture on wearing their seatbelt, and then I'm not wearing mine right now. Hypocrisy at its finest. I also need to fuel this up. I've got 3/8 of a tank. I'm not spraying today, just might as well do something productive. Jeff's hauling corn down to our last bin here at the main farm. Corn prices have actually sold off quite a bit in the last few weeks. I think some trade pressure and good planting progress, particularly in northern Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, and the Dakotas. Those fringe states over there can really shift the market if they have a successful crop, and right now they're off to a good start. Dad gave me a ride in here to Sloan's to pick up our 670 that's been sitting in the shop for maybe 2 months now. That's not a knock on Sloan's and Mattoon. It's just kind of a midwinter, midsummer combine inspection, and they put them in the shop, they inspect them, they look them over. Things get busy with spring tillage, planting, spraying. The techs go out and work on more important calls, and then when things slow down, they finish them up. So this thing's been parked here for a while. We also spent quite a bit of money this season between labor and parts, repairing a bunch of wear items, getting it back up to snuff, because really this thing's depreciated so far, it's hard to justify trading it. Might as well just keep it running. That is a really nice looking mini excavator. Maybe we can acquire one of those. Is my seatbelt going on? Not being a hypocrite. Where the flashers at? They are on. Park brake is off. Of course, it is regenning right now. Actually, I better fold the ladder in. This old girl's about due for new tires. 2,078 engine hours, 1438 on the separator. It's been a good machine. The unloading auger had been making a clanking sound. Brad that looked at it found that there was some kind of play in the junction, or something was worn out. It wasn't the gearbox. Or maybe it was the gearbox, I don't know. I'm not a combine expert. The only thing I know is they're slow going down the road. Kind of bouncy. It is 9:36, so 9:45 it should be done regenning. If you can't tell, this is the GoPro. This is a Hero 12. Not as high quality as my main camera that I've used for the last few years. Just much more convenient. I can mount it to places in the cab. I can film things while I'm working. I can do cool time lapses like we did when Cole was changing the tire. Sacrificing the cinematic quality of the old camera in exchange for the convenience and the stability of being able to do multiple things and capture a lot more work in action, because it's hard for me to film everything with the big camera, even though it looks so good. I mean, it makes me look like a movie star, obviously. So there's a sacrifice being made in an attempt to get you more action shots. It is turning out to be a beautiful day. A little overcast this morning, high of 70 now and clear sky. So I think we're gonna get that drying process started. Fingers crossed that we can do some farming by the end of the week. Today is Tuesday, probably Monday at the latest. If it doesn't rain anymore, we should be running again. Hopefully. I didn't even realize it, but I had the stabilization off, so the image is a little bit more cropped now. The stabilization on the GoPro is one of the nicest features. It keeps the images so smooth. You can move the camera around and nothing shakes. After I shut this thing off, I went and took care of some other stuff because Dad said he wanted to wait and do it after lunch. Of course, I show up and he's already drained the oil, changed the filters. I just have to put oil in it, which is a pretty good deal for me. I would have done it earlier, but he told me to wait. I was only partially correct. He'd not done the engine air filter or the cab air filter. He had changed the engine oil filter. No new oil coming out of the drain, so I believe I have the switch flipped the correct direction. Got 3 gallons in it so far. There's the primary engine air filter there. A lot of bean dust on it, mostly because this machine doesn't run a lot of corn. Beans are really dusty. Here is the secondary filter. It's in really good shape. I noticed though that it's got 574 hours. That's not how many hours are on it, that's when it was installed. So in February of 2017, this combine had 1,500 less hours on it. Still in pretty good shape. I don't know if we should just preventatively change this at some point in time. Looks good. It's basically your backup filter. The big filter catches most of the debris, and if anything gets through, this one keeps it from getting into your air system. 7.3 gallons of oil. This says we're at 6, 7. Why don't we just go ahead and check this just to be safe.
He said talk to Wayne tomorrow.
You think that just the back ones, the front ones are fine?
What front ones? I don't see anything wrong with the front ones.
Just
We're
generalized.
down.
So the issue you're seeing is that the cleats are actually starting to come off.
Yeah, well, I see what you meant, the stubble wear.
These are just worn overall. They're not.
Yeah.
Oh, some of these cleats are starting to get there.
Yeah. Oh, well, you got a spare there, though.
True. Dad and I are going to clear some room in the shed here so we can put that combine in. It's been kind of nice not having it in here. It has a little extra space. Speaking of things that need the windows cleaned, I'm not sure I've washed these windows all season. I might have power washed them one time. It's kind of like a band-aid on the job that needs a little more elbow grease. One feature on this big combine that I didn't even really know was going to be so nice is the folding unloading auger. When you pull stuff in here, not having an extra 5 or 6 foot of unloading auger makes a massive difference for what you can park behind here when you're trying to log jam everything in. The big PowerCast tailboard is also great for storing boxes, I guess. That's what you get for this kind of combine. The last bean variety we planted before the rain out was a 4.0 bean, so our longest maturing bean. We do have more of them to plant, and I also have extras in the tanks. Statistically, it's unlikely that the next field that's dry enough is a 4.0. When you go from a long season bean to a short season bean, you really want to make sure that you have the tanks cleaned out, because the long season beans won't mature. Dad and I, while we're sitting here, are just gonna gamble on not planting a 4.0 first and go ahead and dump these beans out, put them in bags, then we'll reuse them here in just a little bit. This isn't going to make us a whole lot of sense. We have the extra beans because this 4.0 bean is one of the only varieties our Pioneer dealer doesn't have in their bulk tank. So when we pick up a load of them directly, they have to give us the whole box. So we're going to have like 10 to 15 extra units. We're going to use this Burris box here to store them. We'll load them back next time we're going to plant these 4.0 beans. With our luck, we'll probably end up planting the 4.0 beans first. To clarify, there's some in the seed tender too. That's why we need to... Straight back. Straight back. Straight back. Hold on a second. That should do. A few left over in the seed tender in the planter, not that big of a deal. It's when you've got 2 acres worth of beans that are 30% moisture while you're trying to cut the rest of them that are 10% moisture. That's why you gotta be careful when you've got a longer season bean in the tank. I'd say my math is about right. I think we've got about 13 units of beans in here, which is exactly how I calculated it 10 or 14 days ago, if I remember correctly. Just gotta remember next time we need these beans to start with these ones. I'm out here this afternoon trying to do some deciphering on this first field of corn that was planted. I know that the first chunk of it was DeKalb 6835. The rest was Pioneer 14830. Dad left a gap in the NCGA area out here somewhere. Came back with the 14830 and filled it in. So we had a nice test trial out here. I'm having a hard time locating exactly where he did it. I'm not complaining. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just calling a spade a spade. He's not really big on punching the hybrids into his monitor on his planter, so it's a little bit difficult to track as you're trying to analyze the data. What I'm going off of here is the target rate maps, because I know he played around with the plant populations. The yellow is 38,000, or maybe even 38.5. Just trying to kind of make sense of what he did exactly based on that. He said he filled over here. Speaking of the devil, here he comes. And then he drove down, and I'm following this track because I can see the planter drove through here twice, straddled the row, and then he turned in and planted. So once I can set my bearing straight on that specific location, we will know where the 14830 is. Looks like the planter came out and turned in here, if I'm understanding his commentary correctly earlier that he provided. So this must be where the 14830 is, I think. Maybe. Look at that, the ground's graying off. That's nice. This corn will be ready to spray in just a few more days. The nice thing about the Deere system and Operations Center is it even shows you direction of travel now with the arrows. I think right here he's headed north, 36.5, probably the Pioneer 14830. He's walking out here. Maybe he can provide some insight as I try to decipher this. The goal of this is to mark some flags on the north end, because I've got some big flags out there, and just figure out of the gate right here where the 14830 is, and we can assume the rest is DeKalb.
Pull in here and plant it.
Right here, we're in between 2 rounds. One is at 38.5 to the left.
Which one?
This one, and you headed north. the next round over, so I think
Oh, wait a minute, I was headed north here?
this one you're headed south.
And now, what's the population here?
36 even. That's headed south. Yeah, we're like right on the,
Okay, so
that's the center of it there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay. And then here you're headed north.
Okay, this is at 38,000.
38.5 is what my phone says.
Okay, so
So this is DeKalb here?
that'll be DeKalb.
Okay. And we're on a north pass. This is at 36.5.
Where did it stop?
Keep going. Here's the tractor tires here.
So, wait a minute. Tractor tires.
This is the center right here where I'm standing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I was heading north here, right?
The left one's north, this one, the right one's south. This is 38.5.
Okay, these between these two flags is the
Pioneer?
Pioneer.
You had one at 36 and one at 36.5?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a round right here. And then what I'm seeing here is you picked up and left?
Moved over 2 rows.
Yeah, but it looks like you pulled up here.
I pulled in here.
Oh, you pulled in and then you came out
And I
over
went
there?
north, and then I came south.
Okay. But we'll know come harvest, they'll probably look different.
That's really not.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
17 and a half.
Yeah, but my boots are probably bigger than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I counted way too many.
Well, how many you got?
I got like 39, so I may have overstepped
well,
that.
that's 38.5.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is 38. So 39. Well, heck, you got a pretty good stand right there.
Yeah.
So 2 Pioneers, 1 high population DeKalb next to it, and then
This was 38.5, and that over there is 38.
okay. Well, that's the translation I needed.
Okay.
Straight from the mastermind himself.
Yeah, well, mastermind my rear.
The flag has officially been anointed. Pioneer 14830Q, 1 through on both sides. We're gonna be getting geared up here to spray this in the next week or so, depending on how busy we get planting beans. I'd rather be early on spraying than late because this corn grows so fast, it'll start to cover a lot of the ground. If you have weeds up or you're trying to get good coverage, the corn is actually your worst enemy because the canopy of the corn reduces the efficiency of your herbicide. That's why you need to go early, and you need a nice powerful residual in there with you. I recommend Acuron GT, Storin. I kept hearing a buzzing noise. I was trying to figure out what was going on. It's our well kicking on and off there in the little well house. You can hear it pumping. There, it just kicked off. You may not even be able to hear that. Just kicked on while I was talking. Since checking fields yesterday, I've been pondering the logistics of how we move forward with applying herbicides. I have corn, obviously, that's getting really close to needing sprayed post. It's been in the ground for 23 or 24 days. There's a bird's nest right here. Probably ought to get rid of that. Sorry, guys. Set you down over here. Oh, they fell out. Oops. There's also the consideration of all these soybeans that still need planted, also needing a residual sprayed around planting time. That residual still partially in the tank, and then a lot of it's not even picked up and mixed yet. This tanker is going to be our soybean tanker. With the temperature, rain, and wind forecast I'm seeing, right now my gut's telling me to go ahead and get ready to spray corn post. Maybe on Saturday, so 2 days from now. It's sprinkling right now, how ironic that is. Get this chemical into the tanker, get the nozzles changed over to spray 15 gallons an acre post corn herbicide, and then we'll clean out after we do that and come back. My logic with this is just, I'd rather be too early than too late on applying corn herbicides post. Yes, you want the corn big enough that it's going to grow quickly in canopy,
somewhat reasonably. Matt Geiger, the Syngenta technical agronomist that I like to chat with about all things agriculture and chemicals, recommended 21 to 28 days from pre to post application. Right now, as I said, the corn's been planted for 24 days. We're getting a little bit of light weed pressure coming up, and the tillage escapes we didn't get out of the gate. With what I'm seeing, especially with a lot of wind in the forecast next week, I think I'm gonna wait for the ground to dry up a little bit more, and then we're gonna spray all the corn post. Yes, we've got a ton of corn up there in the shed that's not planted, but we don't have to worry about that now. I just wanna make sure we don't get behind on any individual segment. If corn needs sprayed, we need to spray it, clean the sprayer back out, and then go back to spraying bean residuals. This is the time of year where the 2 tankers will come in really handy, because this will keep all of our bean chemicals in it, like the clean out I'm about to pump in, and the corn tanker will just keep corn chemicals in it. I never have to clean either one out. I just have to make sure that I'm cognizant of what's been in what, and make sure that we've rinsed with the appropriate extra chemicals, whether it be ammonia, tank cleaners, you name it, so we're in good shape.
Oh, geez. They were calling for 0.15 of an inch of rain, so they were right, I guess. It didn't start coming down until the fuel guy showed up, so I told him he better get out of here so it'll dry. And it was gone just as fast as it came. Kind of a weird weather pattern today because the storms are headed southwest. They normally almost always head east or northeast or southeast. West is a peculiar direction for this set. My weather station over in the backyard behind my house showed 400ths. We got 3 times the amount to go to get to the forecasted amount. Sun's coming back out, it's gonna be humid. Do I even dare check the radar? Nothing, nothing, and then all of a sudden, something. Out of our control. I was hoping it wouldn't rain at all, because we have a good shot of going in a few days. Bam, just like that.
This spring I've had multiple videos mentioning that I'm complaining about the weather. I am mostly not complaining, I'm just showing you guys what happens, the rain, the forecasted rain, the winds, the temperatures, because they are relevant to the everyday actions on our farm. If it rains too much, we can't do field work. If it's too windy, we can't spray. I'm commentating on the state of our little microclimate and how it influences our decisions. This is not in our control at all. This is up to the good Lord, Mother Nature, you name it. They call the shots here. We just have to kind of evaluate the hand we're dealt and move on from there. Doesn't really concern me. It is what it is. That sounds like hail.
That sounds like hail. Yep, I saw one. Pretty big. It just rained a lot in a very short amount of time. Pups, I think this is going to change the game plan a little bit. Hail over to the west. Most of our crops are planted here closer to home. I think we're probably safe from hail damage on everything except for a couple of fields. We'll have to check that once it dries up. 4/10 of an inch of rain here, and the good Lord only knows how much over east, where we're still waiting to get a lot planted. The way it was looking, that could have over an inch. So this weekend may be off the table now. I haven't really been keeping track. I'm guessing that this video has been going on for a long time, both in length of video and days. We may be at over a week now. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. We got some t-ball practice tonight in at Mattoon, where supposedly it didn't even rain. Imagine that. We are going to enjoy our time with the family, enjoy little sports, and when it dries up, whether it be today or in a month, we'll do some planting. That's just what we got to do. Appreciate you all tuning in. Sure hope to see you in the next one. Peace!